Hi and welcome to this screencast. Today I'm going to talk about how you can use indexing to extract elements from a vector, how you can extract a single element, multiple elements, and how you can use logical indexing. And I'm also going to tell you about how you can use indexing to modify elements in a vector. First, let us create a vector and call it x, and I'll put in some numbers here. So now we have our vector that we can work with. I'm just going to enlarge this so we can see the whole vector up here in the workspace view. First of all, if we want to extract a number, for example the third one on the list, we can simply use the index 3 and put that in parentheses after x, like this, x of 3, and that should get us the number 2.3. Right, so that's a way of extracting the third number from the vector. We could also make a separate variable. We'd call it index, for example, index, assign the value 3, and now we could write x of index, and again that would give us the third value of the vector. If we want to extract multiple elements from the vector, we can do that simply by indexing using another vector. So we could say, for example, x of 1, 3, and 5, and that would give us the elements number 1, 3, and 5 from x. Again, if we want to put the index into a separate variable, we can write index equals the vector 1, 3, 5, for example, and then type x of index, and that would give us the first, third, and fifth value from x. A different way of doing that is to use what's called a logical index. So we can index with a vector of the same length of x, which contains true or false values. And indexing with such a logical vector will return all the elements where the indexing vector is true. For example, we can simply write it out like this: x of true, false, true, false, true, false, 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 false. For example, that should give us the first, third, the fifth, and not the rest. And we see it does exactly the same as before. Again, we could put that into a separate index like this. We could type index equals this vector. And we can look at it here, it's displayed with ones and zeros. And again, we can use it as an index to x to extract those values. Now the same indexing operations that I can use to extract elements from a vector can also be used to change elements inside a vector. So let me show how to do that. First, let me make a copy of my vector x, and I'll call the copy y. Now if I want to change the third element in y, I can simply write y of 3, and I can use this as on the left side of an assignment operator. So I can say y of 3 is equal to, for example, 77. And now we can see that the third element in y is now set equal to 77. Now let me reset y back to x again. I can also set multiple elements of y, for example element 1, 3, and 5. I can set them all to 77 like this, and now we can see that y's first element, third element, and fifth element are set to 77. Let me reset y again. If I want to set these three different elements to different values, I can do that as well. I can simply say y of 1, 3, and 5 is equal to, or set equal to, another vector that contains, say, the values 20, 40, and 60. And now we can see that element 1, 3, and 5 are replaced with the values 20, 40, and 60. I'll reset y again. We can also use a Boolean operator on the elements of y. For example, we can find all the elements that are greater than 5 simply by typing y greater than 5. That will give us a logical vector that indicates which values are greater than 5 and which are not. So the first value is less than 5, the next one is greater, the next one is less or equal, next is greater, and so on. And we can use this logical vector to index y. So I can type y and index by y greater than 5, and that will extract all the elements of y that are greater than 5. So that extracts the elements 8.2, 7.4, 6.6 and 5.8. And again, I can use this on the left side of in an assignment operator, so I can say all the elements of y that are greater than 5 should be set equal to 77, for example. And now all values greater than 5 will be changed to 77, as we can see here. Logical indexing is a very powerful feature that it's quite important to master. But sometimes it can be a little bit confusing with these logical vectors. So if I type x greater than 5, for example, I get this logical vector that says which values of x are greater than 5. It can sometimes be quite useful to transform this into a normal vector of indices. And that's quite easy to do simply by typing the command find x greater than 5. And that will convert this logical vector into a vector of normal indices.